All right, people, you guys are watching and or most likely listening to another Nomadic live stream for your guys' education and entertainment. So if you haven't already, before we get this show underway, be sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, share, and subscribe for more epic, awesome, cool, motherfucking funny content just like this one right here, right now, on the Nomadic YouTube channel. Because this shit is for your entertainment. That's right, people. This shit is for your entertainment. So again, if you haven't already, leave a like, leave a comment, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this one right here, right now, on the Nomadic YouTube channel. Drake Dragon, ladies and gentlemen, is in the chat. He says Rarsum. What's up, Drake? Nice to see you on the screen. We're going to do a Nomadic news today. Got a lot to talk about because a lot of, some good news has actually happened this last week. But yeah, let's go ahead. We have a special guest tonight. It's going to be my friend Rexus Prime. So let's go get the screen share ready. Now we're on YouTube videos here, but we're going to get in. And let's turn off this hip hop as well. And let's get going. All right, Rexus Prime, we are live with a...
Okay.
We are live with another Nomadic news, having you as a special guest tonight. So we've got a little bit to cover because a lot of, crazy shit has basically happened over the last week, honestly. I mean, it seems like with this new administration that every week there's something new, or not even every week, it's like every day there's like something crazy that's going on that's brand new. So
by one of the people that I'm a U.S. aid has been sending money to, who's been dead. That said person has been dead for like 345 years.
Yeah.
That dead person has been dead for far longer than this country.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. I mean,
And it's just only one person.
That's one
But
person.
yeah,
and wait till you see like all the 150-year-olds that were getting social security checks apparently too. Like just dead people.
Oh yeah.
That were like still getting checks sent to their family. Like that's crazy. That's insane.
Oh yeah, and yeah, USAID is just, it's a useless organization, especially when you take a look at these.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about USAID that's crazy is that when you look at all of these things, USAID is primarily supposed to be the United States foreign aid, basically their agency for foreign aid. However, we really haven't been sending as much foreign aid to countries that necessarily need it, allied countries that would need it, as much as we've been spending foreign aid for the last 4 years on stupid shit. And that's what Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency that's being ran by Elon Musk right now, is sort of bringing to public light. Now, what they're doing, actually, that's interesting, is they do have a website that's up. It's doge.gov. It is a .gov
Yeah,
website.
by one of their members who's like 19 years old was able to decipher an entire dead ancient language just by using AI. 19 years old, but by the way.
Yeah, and the left is going after them, actually. The left is raging hard, probably because,
it doesn't surprise me because the Democratic left has become the party of harassment and targeted campaigns. But it doesn't surprise me since the left has actually been doing this for a long time when you take into account of the entire Black Panther group.
Well, you know what's crazy is the left actually, like I'm going to go a little bit of it off topic, but the left is, the thing is they actually used to love Elon Musk. They loved buying his cars. They loved SpaceX. They loved all that. And then when he sided with Donald Trump, when he bought Twitter, and he started allowing free speech on Twitter, and then he sided with Donald Trump. Oh, now all of a sudden, now he's the bad guy. And then he sticks his hand up in the air. Now, it's debatable whether or not he's trolling or whether he's just being autistic and made a weird gesture. But the thing is, he sticks his hand in the air, and everyone says he's a Nazi immediately. The thing is, though, they say he's a Nazi. They say this is supposed to be a fascist movement, but when the fuck have the Nazis ever cut government? Like, when have they ever reduced the size of government?
Yeah, despite what the left says, the entire Nazi movement was pretty fucking socialist, and socialist and communist movements tend to be pretty pro-state.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is the fascists. What they did is actually they had the SS basically mandating the production of a lot of the supplies in Germany. So it actually was state oversight over the, in a very socialist-like manner, state oversight over the production. State seized the means of production, and it was if you didn't produce
Nazis,
for the Nazi party, then you'd be taken to the concentration camps.
But fascists and Nazis, they're similar, but they're still different enough. Case in point, fascists never really hated Jews, with exception to the whole Jewish faith. But the Nazis, they really wanted Jews gone. Mussolini didn't really give a fuck about Jews. Case in point, that there were like 10,000 Jews in Mussolini's fascist party, and his mistress was a Jew as well.
I see, but when the left thinks about fascist, they just think the Nazis immediately. Rarely, even talk
they
about
just think of the
imperial.
They just think of the Nazis. They just think of the people who, which of course, this is really funny, and of course, I told you this. Many leftists like to do the entire revolutionary fist, which of course neo-Nazis have their own version of that, known as the entire Aryan fist. So it's like by their own logic that they are also doing an entire Nazi salute.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But let's get back onto the subject. More so on Doge. Doge actually is really interesting because something that they're doing is they're not really they're uncovering stuff and producing it to the public and making it more public by posting it on their website, which is a government website, by the way. It is doge.gov. It is official government website now. It's not, even though if you ask me, I do think the way they're going about it, slightly unprofessional by just doing all tweets. I think they should actually post the screenshots itself, so you can click on the screenshots and download them and use the receipts themselves. But it is an official government website, and the thing that they're doing is the way they're getting these receipts is they're uncovering contracts that have already kind of been released by the I believe it's the GOA or GAO. I forget what it is. Government Accountability Office. It's GAO. Government Accountability Office. They're taking these contracts and receipts from the Government Accountability Office, and they're making it so that way that it's easier for the public to see these receipts. So that's basically what Doge is doing right now.
Yep. And of course, just to go a bit off topic, Ukraine's last stronghold within the entire Lugansk region is now under siege by the Russians.
Oh shit! So
yep,
who did
yep. Most of Lugansk has been taken by the Russians, and and now they're pretty much besieging the last stronghold in that region.
So, who do you think is actually winning the war right now? Because last I heard, it was basically a stalemate.
It's basically Russia, because Russia has now deployed to basically describe it more dystopian tactics, and I mean by some of them, some of the Russians have also made these weird Fallout looking guns that are made to clear trenches. Yeah. They're basically an entire modernized version of the trench gun, and they also have jammer troopers, which are meant to jam drones. And sadly, with the Ukrainians and NATO, they just rely on PR strategies. When you think about it, what was the point of Kursk? What was the point of the Ukrainians going into Kursk? Because that they have taken about that they did take about 1,500 kilometers, but now that they've been pushed back to about less than 500.
Now, something that I was made aware of that was interesting about this war is that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, Donald Trump actually went and he went on a phone call for about an hour with Vladimir Putin, and they are actually seriously thinking about doing peace deals in the very near future.
Oh yeah, and apparently an entire kamikaze drone hit the much Chernobyl sarcophagus, and of course most people are already pinning it on the Russians just to basically smear Trump, saying this. Oh yeah, Putin wants peace. Whilst I question that, because it's like, okay, if it was the Russians, were there troops in that area? Because if there's one thing that's well known, former Soviet states really send in their troops to really suicidal situations. Doesn't matter which country it is.
Yeah.
And of course, if there weren't troops, was it an accident? And of course, if it wasn't Russia, then was it Ukraine? I'm just kind of questioning what the people who are like pro-Ukrainian who are saying that, because every single time you question them, they just label you as some Z head, even though you're actually being logical.
So, what do you think? So, when do you think a peace deal will be worked out between Ukraine and?
Probably somewhere in like mid 2025 or like late 2025 maybe, because Trump is focused on doing other shit,
Yeah,
including the whole Gaza area.
yeah. We actually should talk about the Gaza situation. I did briefly talk about it last time with Shoes of a Champion, but I really didn't get the opportunity to go into detail with it. So I think you might be a little bit more of more educated on the situation. So we might actually be able to talk more about the interesting intricacies about that.
Sadly, sadly, I have not been paying attention to the whole Gaza area. Sadly,
Well, basically, last I heard is that, well, Gaza's obviously basically wiped off of the map almost. Like, they've basically destroyed just about every single infrastructure that the Gazans ever had. And, you know, I mean, they the Israelis have basically turned their attention to other things. Now they're looking to expand, up into the Golan Heights, up into West, taking territory up in West Bank, which Donald Trump actually does support taking territory up in West Bank, and I don't support that at all. And
yeah. When you think about it, this is something eerily similar to the whole Lebensraum that the Germans, but back in the whole 1930s, did
yeah,
just to reestablish territories of the whole Holy Roman Empire.
yeah, and then you know how far
Which
Bibi
is
wants
why I
to
really
go?
don't like Zionism.
Do you know how far the Zionists and Bibi wants to go? He wants to go all the way up to what's
To Turkey,
the city that Paul lived in, Damascus.
to
He
Damascus.
wants to go all the way up to
Yep,
Damascus.
that is the entire capital of Syria, which just fell to some extremist group.
Well, Syria's been balkanized.
Yep.
And even
So
their
it's
own
so
soldiers
you're
won't,
going to be
even their own
one
soldiers won't
hell
fight.
for Israel
Their own soldiers won't
if the
fight
Jews
to
try to take
demoralize.
Damascus.
Yeah,
Yep. So and if the Israelis want to take Damascus, it will be one. It will be one Vietnam for them because they will have to fight off multiple groups, and of course, even then, ISIS, despite what people think, is not dead. There is an entire camp filled to the brim with women of dead ISIS members teaching their children the entire ISIS ideology, and yeah, it will give way to the next generation of ISIS fighters.
yeah. And you know what else there also could be problems with? There could be conflicts of interest with the US and their opium. Because
Yep.
they have their opium and oil fields up there as well. So there could be a conflict of interest if Israel wants to take over Damascus. But you know what they're calling
Yep.
this project? And it's been a project for a while, but they're calling it the Greater Israel Project.
Huh. This seems like something to the. Now, of course, just to sound similar to some weird schizo conspiracy theorist, this sounds eerily similar to the whole 1,000-year R word, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems to me.
Because
My point of view.
the Germans in the 1940s wanted to take most of Europe, particularly eastern Ukraine, because of the whole Black Earth soil they had. And of course, even then, the Visigoths were once lived in Ukraine, so of course they all claimed it as all Aryan and stuff. And of course, this is basically the exact same thing with Israel. They will claim that that Damascus was all Israeli and Jewish
Yeah. Even
as
though,
some excuse.
even though historically wasn't Damascus Christian and
Yep,
later Muslim? Well, actually, no, more
yep. It has always
Christian,
been
pagan,
it has
and
always
then
been
Muslim.
Christian, Muslim, and of course, long before them,
Pagan.
Zoroastrian.
Oh,
Yep,
Zoroastrian.
specifically Zoroastrian, mainly thanks to the Persians conquering those areas.
Yeah, and Zoroastrianism actually, interestingly enough, actually inspired Judaism, actually.
Yep, which is very interesting that those said Jews do not respect Zoroastrianism.
Yeah. Even though a lot of their practices are very similar. Oh, they even get a lot of some of their stories similar to Zoroastrianism.
Yep, like I mean by some of their gods are also similar to the Zoroastrian gods too, which that would explain why there is some weird link between the Slavs and the Jews because even the Slavic gods take some bits from Zoroastrianism.
Yeah.
Mainly thanks to the whole conflicts between the nomadic tribes of the Slavs and the Persians and the Caucasus and the Turkic steppe.
Alrighty. Yeah. Unfortunately, Donald Trump said that what he basically wants to do to Gaza, though, is that he wants to turn Gaza into a parking lot. And what does he say? So they asked him, "Oh, should the Gazans still live in Gaza? Should Israelis move in?" Donald Trump says, "You know who's going to live there? World people." Whatever the fuck that means. So I'm guessing they're going to have a bunch of
Why don't we
billionaire
just why don't we
bureaucrats
just
living there.
give the whole Gaza Strip back to Egypt? They once had it back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the entire fact that the Gazans and the Egyptians are both Arabs, and then there's the fact that they're both Muslim as well.
Yeah.
The Jews that they aren't really Semitic anymore because the original Israelites died away, and of course most current day Jew DNA is now half German and half Turkic.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Yep, Ashkenazi and Yiddish Jews. Those ones are the two groups. Yiddish literally means Judeo-German.
Oh wow. Well, that's a new history lesson right there for you guys at home watching this stream. I didn't know that
Yep.
the Yiddish were German.
Which it just makes it far more funnier that the whole Nazis said that they weren't Germans.
That actually is kind of funny. But I do have this meme actually that
Yep.
basically summarizes what Donald Trump is going to do to Gaza. It's with Patrick from SpongeBob, and I'm putting it up on the screen share for you guys. But it's basically he says we should just take Gaza and put it somewhere else.
Yep.
Like that's literally Donald Trump's solution. It's sad. It's sad, like knowing the real life consequences, but it's just low key funny because it's actually kind of memeable.
Yep.
But yeah, that's basically what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to take Gaza and just move it somewhere else.
Yep. Apparently, Trump wants to do something eerily similar that the Hungars and the Bulgars did. That being Trump is now will just basically force the Gazans to be like nomads.
Yeah, I mean, this actually situation kind of reminds me of another situation. I think it was where it was pretty much one of the only bad things that this country that the country of Budapest ever did was they basically exiled people to be nomads.
Yep.
So what are the Gazans supposed to do? They're just gonna like wander around the deserts for days, months, years.
Yep.
Drake Dragon says lots of catching up to do. Thank you for tuning in. We enjoy the chats. The based on Red Pill Drake Dragon is here.
Oh yeah, and apparently Trump signed an entire executive order to allow Afrikaner refugees to enter this nation, mainly due to how violent South Africa is. Now, of course, for some context, ever since the old European leaders of South Africa fell, the natives of the land have been becoming more and more violent towards the Afrikaners, who are all descended from the original Dutch settlers. In fact, in South Africa, they've been committing acts of ethnic cleansing on those people, and it's not safe for them anymore.
It's horrible. But why is anybody surprised after the natives there were literally in apartheid state for how long? Fucking at least
Yeah, but it's like you cannot blame their descendants.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, it's been violent there. Like there have been videos of those said South African politicians saying that yes, we will kill those white people. In fact, one of them said that he will pour their blood onto his food. That was actually televised.
Yeah, this shit going down there in South Africa is absolutely batshit crazy. You know, they're running farmers and shit out of town. But like I understand why
the videos of
too. You know?
There've been multiple videos of native South Africans breaking into Afrikaner homes and just murdering the entire families, including the children as well.
That's crazy. That's some fucked shit.
Yep.
There, man.
Yep, it's actually part of the reason why the numerous neo-Nazi groups within South Africa were actually formed. Because when you actually discriminate against one group, it'll actually lead to that said group becoming more radicalized.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yep.
I mean,
which is why there's now an entire neo-Nazi version the Triskelion symbol from like Celtic from Celtic culture.
This is what needs to happen, man. I feel like the fucking Native Americans had it right. The people of these nations need to fucking gather around the peace pipe and have a discussion and fucking talk. Because you can't just be going around fucking murdering people's families and shit. Like, I thought we're in the 21st century. We're supposed to be beyond this senselessly going up to people's houses and murdering people. We're supposed to
Yep.
pass this apparently, but apparently no. Everyone's just lost their fucking marbles.
Yeah, like I mean by it's just the whole world is kind of going to shit, and to be honest, it probably won't get better for like the next 2 decades or so.
Yeah, to be honest, I know a lot of the Trump the Trump fans are really happy about Trump being in presidency. But let's be honest, he's not gonna fix everything. He can't. I mean, he's a lot of it's out of control.
Yeah, like I mean by this is what Synthetic Man said. Trump is just the entire lesser of two evils.
Yeah, I was having a discussion
Like,
at work earlier about that with a friend, because he was like, "Man, all this shit about Trump, it's going crazy and all that." I said, "Yeah, Trump, he's definitely doing some stuff I disagree with, that's for sure, but it beats Kamala Harris."
yeah, and even then, we could always have a better leader. We can always have an actual leader, but
Well,
sadly, those are kind of a rarity nowadays.
well, we could have had a third party, but everyone said, "Fuck you, Nomadic Cole. We don't care about your third party." So, well, they forced my hand to vote for Trump, and that's what I did.
Or in or in just some case, just find an actual leader. Doesn't matter what kind of ideology they are. But in the case of modern day and how pretty crazy the woke skulls are, I say I do definitely prefer right wing, and I mean by and I do mean by very right wing,
Yeah.
not the whole weird center right where they're still pretty much pro status quo, which is very left leaning, by the way.
Oh, you're talking about the neocons,
Yeah.
like Mitch McConnell.
Yep. Fuck the neocons. I've pretty much became dissident right. Sadly now.
Well, I don't consider myself a right winger or a left winger. I consider myself an independent. I'm a libertarian.
Libertarian is still right wing when you think about it, because
Well, yeah.
because the entire quote unquote libertarian left ideologies, they don't make sense because they mix libertarianism with some bits of socialism.
Well,
Which is
other
why they're more appropriately called progressives.
well, the main thing the libertarian left, quote unquote libertarian left, gets wrong is they confuse libertarianism with anarchism as well.
Yeah, like I mean by the whole entire like this is also something that people don't realize. The entire anarchy symbol literally means order without rulers. That's what it means.
Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump isn't doing, he's doing okay with Ukraine, but he isn't doing good on the Gaza situation. But one of the things he's doing a lot in that he's really working on is the culture war. We've seen already all the laws.
The entire culture war won't go away for about a decade. Like I mean, by even if we do think that we're all anti woke, so sadly, from what has been proven with the whole Kingdom Come Degeneracy 2, the exact same game that allows you that pretty much gives you the entire option to have an entire romantic slash sexual relationship with a 15-year-old boy.
What the fuck?
And of course, there are like many quote unquote anti woke YouTubers saying that the game is not woke. Yes, it is. They have literally made the entire protagonist of the first game, who was originally straight, bisexual. Then there's the fact that the game is set within Bohemia, which is very Christian, by the way. And the game allows you to have sex with a 15-year-old man, and most woke scolds may not like it, but they all secretly support pedophilia.
Well, we already know that the woke SJW left. I just call them the shit libs at this point because, Javier Magle said it best. They are shit libs. There's no reasoning with some of them. Strike Dragon says
They're just basically progressive Marxists.
Strike Dragon says blame it on the globalists. But the shit libs, they have long supported MAPS, MAPS, or minor attracted.
Oh, and in the case of the whole,
they jumped.
Oh yeah, like I mean by one of the reasons why I'm a Tumblr banned NSFW off of their site it is exactly due to the reason why the whole woke toys left that site. They banned NSFW because of the unmoderated amounts of NSFW relating to children.
Hold on just a second.
That is why they banned NSFW from that site.
In here. Just a sec. It's getting a little dark. I'm going to brighten it up in here a little bit.
And in the case of organizations like NAMBLA, who by the way supported Obama, Hillary, Biden, and even Harris, yeah, the whole woke left secretly supports pedophilia.
Well, yeah, I mean the same groups though that are with these progressive movements.
Like I mean by Sweet Baby Inc.'s logo with the swirl symbol inside the baby looks eerily similar to the Little Boy Lover Group, which is a very, very infamous pedophile child trafficking ring. Yeah, which is very suspicious.
And did you hear a while back, I think it was about a year ago or so, that the UN was trying to pass a law to make minor attracted persons legal, like make it that they can basically do whatever they want as long as it's with consent.
Yeah, like I mean by with the whole woke toys trying to prove that the Greeks. Hold up. Sorry about that. There was something going on, but still, with the whole woke toys trying to prove that the ancient Greeks were gay, they were using pederasty as some big old example, which wasn't even meant to be sexual. It was actually meant to teach young boys how to be politicians. And of course, sexual pederasty was actually looked down upon in ancient Greece. But yeah, one of their own best examples of homosexuality in ancient Greece was of course pedophilia, child rape, my men.
Well,
child rape.
That did unfortunately happen quite a bit in the ancient times. And yeah, you're right about. I did look into it, and after you told me about it, that yeah, it was pretty prevalent, and then Athens was very vocal about not allowing pedophilia.
Well, yeah, and then there's the fact that those said people try to justify it by calling the little boys who were pretty much raped as Greek femboys, which is very fucked up.
Yeah, very, very fucked up indeed. Because
and
they were literally children. These kids that were
I mean by these boys
actually slaves. Back in the day, they were often slaves, and they.
Oh no! Most of these boys, they were pretty much sons of politicians who were meant to be taught to be politicians in the future by these older men.
Yeah, but there was also
that was the whole point of pederasty.
But wasn't it also back in the Roman Empire? There was a lot of slaves, and it would often be young boys that they would have as slaves, and they would just fuck them basically.
Oh yeah, even violating slaves, either male or female, child or not, even that was punished back in ancient Rome.
It seems so weird because you see in a lot of these writings how prevalent it was, and it seemed almost like a lot of people just turned a blind eye to it. Especially because a lot of
Yeah,
the
a lot of people,
politicians were
a lot of the, yep, but yeah, that is just something that most people tend to kind of ignore about ancient societies. They weren't really gay. They didn't not like gayness. Like, I mean, by back in the day, they basically viewed it as this: if you cannot reproduce, then you're worthless. That was their entire mindset. And with the whole pedophilia thing, why are you corrupting a child?
There was some societies that were a bit more accepting back in the day. One of them was certain Native American tribes. Others, it really depended from tribe to tribe, actually. Because a lot of leftists like to say, "Oh, but all the Native Americans were all for it." No, it really depended tribe to tribe. But some Native American tribes were somewhat accepting as basically they call it two spirit, but basically just meant femboy to them. And yeah, they were basically like caretakers for the children.
Yep.
And then,
But yeah, and of course, anyway, since we went off
Mahu,
topic.
well, if you ever heard of Mahu
Yep,
in Hawaiian culture, they're basically like the same thing as two spirit.
your mic
Oh,
was kind of cutting out.
what the fuck? His mic's back. I don't know what the heck happened there. Oh shit. Anyways, yeah, basically was just similar to that was actually
Mic.
to fix it. It looks like
Because
we have difficulty. The fuck? I apologize for the technical difficulty, guys. Connection again. What the frick? Demo. Hell. Hold on. Can we come back in? Let me try leaving. Leaving the tab. Okay, I just rejoined the chat. Clicking. There we go. Okay, I think something happened with my Wi-Fi. You know what it is? You know what it is actually? Hold on one sec. Let me go back to screen share. What happened to my ability to screen share here? Hold on. That's what happened. I thought I was able to screen share in this chat. Here we go. Demo. We're just going to add the media source here. Or not a video. I don't want to do a video. I want to do a screen share. Is it screen shared over here? Share screen. There we go. Can you hear good?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we did have some technical difficulties. I apologize about that, but we're back on. I think it might have been the sidebar chat actually, because I had the sidebar chat on, and it was, yeah. Drake Dragon here says network issues. So yeah, we had the network issues, but you know who I blame? They're in the walls. They're in the goddamn walls.
Oh boy, the Antichrist. The Antichrist
It's
is
the
in the
CIA.
wall.
The CIA. They're in the walls.
Yep.
It's Uncle BJ's mask people. It's Uncle BJ's mask people. They're in the walls.
The Antichrist. It's in the walls. The succubi. They're everywhere.
I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs.
I hate John Money. I hate John Money.
Gremlins.
Yep.
Okay, we just had to get a little crazy just for fun.
Yep. We just had to go very schizo. But yeah, back to the topic, which I think we were talking about Gaza and the woke stuff with Trump.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to talk about, because we did kind of go off track talking about fucking like ancient history and shit, but I wanted to get onto track and talking about the federal judge that blocked Donald Trump's executive order to ban all transgender surgeries for minors, which one would think this is a bipartisan thing. Why should a minor who can't drive a car, who can't drink a beer at a bar,
can't own a gun,
not,
can't get a tattoo, but yet they can transition.
Can't get plastic surgery, but they can transition. Are you fucking shitting me?
I'm just going to say that
transgenders who disagree with this. Ever
I'm
heard
just
of
going to
Blair
say,
White
I'm
and
just
Caitlyn
going
Jenner?
to say this. I'm going to say this. Most of these people who are now transing kids are now making John Money proud right now. Okay, man.
Okay. With Donald Trump, they're making John Money proud by transing the children. They love the children a little too much.
Yep, like I mean by it is very well known about the atrocities of John Money. In fact, even Wikipedia of all sites has an entire article of him, which is pretty surprising because Wikipedia is pretty left wing in its bias.
Yeah. Wikipedia is so left wing. They call RFK Jr. an anti-vaxxer and conspiracy theorist. So yeah, they're pretty left wing. Yeah, I don't really use Wikipedia, mainly because every college professor I've ever had and every high school teacher I've ever had said, don't use Wikipedia. Anyone can go in there and change it to whatever they want.
Yeah, like I mean by the only time when you can kind of trust Wikipedia is when it's something so obscure that no one even knows about it. That is the only time when you can trust Wikipedia.
And then you have that one autistic person who's just obsessed with that one obscure topic, who goes in there and makes a Wikipedia page.
Yep. But yeah, Wikipedia is pretty biased, and of course, back to the whole transitioning thing. Yeah, kids should not transition. They should not at all. Like I mean by, it's pretty well known that the whole trans thing is a bit of a mental illness, or in some cases, It might be some weird fetish. Case in point, take a look at Bo Blacks. He tried to transition mainly because he has a weird fetish about it. He has a weird
Yeah,
transgender fetish.
you see, normally when people have a fetish of transgendering, normally they just keep, you just think they would just keep it to the bedroom and just, just cross dress while having sex or whatever. But apparently, that's not enough for some of these degenerate people. Apparently, they have to just be the transgender as a fetish.
Yep, like I mean by with Bo Blacks. Oh my God, there were so many leaks of him being in his dress, just pretty much jacking it. And yeah, it's
Oh,
like there's a good reason why Big Bungie described him as the Anne Frank of the commentary community, and they finally found him. And yes, he is going into the gas chambers.
you know what he is? He's a gooner. He's a
Yep, he's
gooner.
Gooner. Gooner. He's a
Goon,
Gooner.
gooner, coomer.
Yep, Gooner, Coomer, Coom, Goon, what have you. Gooner's gonna goon.
Fucking goon squad.
Yep.
But yeah, that's like one of the big ones
Yeah,
that
like I mean
happened
by
recently. But a
there's a
federal
reason why
judge blocked.
yep,
But
like I
I
mean by
think it's
I
gonna
am
go.
saying this and it is gonna be controversial. Pansexuality isn't really a real one. It is basically you admitting to the fact that you do find trans people hot, which is basically an entire fetish. It is basically
Or
bisexuality, but you like trans people. It's a very
so
controversial opinion I have, but I mean by when you think about it, it does kind of make sense.
so pansexuality. I've always thought it's literally just bisexual with extra steps.
It is. It really
In
is.
fact, just call if someone's calling themselves pansexual, like unironically, I feel like for the most part they're doing so just because they want attention. Because bisexual is no longer considered hip anymore, so pansexual is the next step.
Yeah, like I mean by there are like some people like Scurvy Rum who yes he is bisexual, but he has chosen to pretty much be the whole straight side of it. Yeah, there are like some people like him, and that's mainly because he's Orthodox Christian.
And well, here's another somewhat controversial take I have is how some people I think it was a while back, but the SJWs were fighting against straight people for the super straight movement. I actually say super straight is a real sexuality. If you want to play the game of the SJW LGBTQ plus Y7
Especially if you
TV
don't want
14.
to sleep with trans women.
Yeah, well,
Like
super straight.
that's the whole point of a super straight. You don't sleep
Exactly.
with trans women.
Yeah, and I can see that being completely valid. If somebody doesn't want to sleep with a trans woman and they're straight, then I don't see the harm in someone being like, "Hey, I'm super straight." And I like how they made I like their flag, which was hilarious. It was just the Pornhub colors.
Yep.
It's
And
just black and Pornhub colors.
it honestly doesn't surprise me with the whole SJWs going crazy over that because this is something that they won't tell you. But back in 2017, just a few months after Trump won, a few SJWs were starting to deny the existence of the Holocaust. Just to let you know, they
Yeah,
they
okay.
won't tell you that, but I will. Okay, Donald Trump 2.0 is here, and I will tell you the truth. Okay.
They won't tell you that, but I will. King of the castle, king of the castle. I have a chair. I have a chair.
Yeah.
I actually would love it if Donald Trump actually said that, like in real life. If he's sitting in the Oval Office and they're like, asking him questions, and he says, "King of the castle, king of the castle, I have a chair, I have a chair."
Yeah. Like, I mean, by if there's one thing that's so true, Joe Biden is that one weird old creepy grandpa. I mean, meanwhile, Donald Trump is that one funny grandpa who says something funny that is like slightly racist.
Well, yeah, he's just the grandpa who says out of pocket shit. He's
Yep.
out of pocket grandpa.
Yep. He's the
So Drake
funny
Dragon
one.
says, "Yeah, I found red scaly Durgies hot. What is that?" I think that means that you like sex dolls, my friends. That's what I think it is.
I hope he's not referring to Bad Dragon.
He's probably referring to Bad Dragon sex
Oh, for fuck's
dolls.
sake. Like, I mean,
Why
by
is this stream? Why is this stream? I'm going to have to. YouTube's gonna make me fucking 18 plus this stream because we're talking about sex and shit so much in this stream. Like YouTube's gonna crack down on me so
we
bad after
probably
this.
might have to age restrict this stream anyway because of
I'm
that.
gonna have to age restrict this, I bet, because this is crazy. This stream is
Yeah,
crazy.
we
But
will
let's
have
keep it
to.
going. If they don't make me age restricted, I won't age restrict it. But if they say something about it, like send me email about it, I will.
Like, I mean, by you can always press onto YouTube to saying this. No, this is not made for kids. You can always press that.
Yeah,
You can
it's
actually
just a
do that
live
on your videos.
Yeah, but this is a live stream. I never had to do that on the live stream because it's from a third-party app.
Ah,
That
but yeah,
we're our 50 minutes into the stream, so there's a chance that YouTube won't see this.
yeah. Like, I mean, by with YouTube, they won't care if it's like in the middle of the video, but if it's like somewhere near the entire beginning or the end, then they will care.
Yeah.
And I mean it. So something like Big Bungie's videos contain the entire N word hard R or the entire F slur in the entire direct middle of the video, and YouTube just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. We do have some other news to go over though. One
Yep.
of the big ones is it's secretary confirmations. Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. have both been confirmed as secretary of their respective offices. Tulsi Gabbard is now the secretary of the Department of Intelligence, aka the CIA, and RFK Jr. is now secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yep. He is.
This is awesome.
And that
This is
means we
based.
won't and that means this. We won't have vegetable oil in things such as Kit Kats of all things. I mean it. Read the entire ingredients for Kit Kats. One of them is vegetable oil.
They have
Why does a candy need a vegetable oil?
They have seed oil.
Yep.
I hate seed oils. I hate seed oils. I hate seed oils. I hate seed oils.
Yeah.
I hate seed oils. I hate seed oils. I hate seed oils.
They really aren't good.
Seed oils?
Yeah,
Well,
they
they're
really
good.
aren't good.
They make the food so addicting. That's why they're good.
Yeah, but it's like they aren't healthy for you. Like, I mean, by there's a reason why McDonald's needs to go back to
To be
meat lard, which is what made their fries so popular back in the 1970s. They had that meaty flavor to them that just made them really good, which is what my mom has told me.
and they paired so well with the chicken nuggies and the burger.
Oh yeah.
They were delicious. And they used to do the beef tallow, but now they've moved on to seed oil. Why? Because they could save a few bucks off of it.
And it's also addictive, so They just create
Yeah,
an entire consumer chain.
and it makes people morbidly obese, or should I say morbidly obese?
Yep.
Morbiously obese. I'm gonna type it in the
Yep.
chat.
I am morbidly a beast.
Morbiously obese.
Yep.
It's Morbin time.
Yeah, Mormon time. Oh shit! I just said
Mormon
Mormon
time.
time. Yes, Mormon
Mormon
time.
time. God, the
Dum dum
Mormons are
dum
gonna
dum 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 dum.
dum da dum dum dum
Yep.
dum dum. That's what it was. It was Joseph Smith is smart, smart, smart. Dum 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 dum.
Yep.
Fucking, I can every time you bring up Mormons, because I know you live in Mormonville. Every time you
Yep.
bring up
Utah.
Mormons, I always think of that South Park episode about the Mormons, where they go
Yep.
dum 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 dum.
Yep. Which is still
Um,
surprising just to learn that I am descended from Joseph Smith. Pretty surprising.
that's crazy.
Like
Yeah,
it's
and
crazy. Really crazy.
yep, and also I just think it's really good that we finally got all that hard work, all that campaigning that happened over the last year and a half or so finally paid off. We finally got the anti-establishment figures that we need to run these agencies and root out the corruptions into office.
Next thing to
Finally.
do. Next thing to do. Remove the Civil Rights Act. It does violate some areas of the First Amendment. Specifically, this allowing what kind of people should enter your store. Even though yes, in some areas it's bad, but in some other areas you can kind of see where they are coming from.
I don't know. I'd have to agree to disagree with you on that. I think the 1964 Civil Rights Act was really good.
Yeah, but the one that was signed in, it's like, yeah, I much more prefer the whole lines of the Constitution from 1789 way more than the Civil Rights Act.
Well, yeah, I take the Constitution more, but what is it about allowing people into your store that you were
Basically,
concerned about?
basically, if they all happen to be a bunch of, think of degenerate communists, and they're all causing problems in your store. And of course, pre-civil rights era, you can pretty much kick them out. But now, post-civil rights era, they can use the entire excuse of my hate crimes against you as some
Well, I
excuse, which is why I'm pretty much against the whole Civil Rights Act thing, because it basically gave commies a power level, to simply put it. And even then, and even then,
well
and of course,
the thing.
even then, despite what people think, pre the civil rights, America was actually pretty good. Black and white people actually got along in that whole era, but they won't tell you that at all.
I mean, yeah, there was definitely actually in their own communities actually African Americans actually had higher less poverty levels than we have seen them today post civil rights era. I believe it's actually a statistic.
Yep. Like I
And
mean by
that's
like I
because
mean
their
by
own
part of the
individual
reason why black people were pretty much being accepted by Americans back in the 1950s was due to the fact that they were starting to adopt more of a European style of culture, which is where most levels which is where most areas of racism kind of come to on whether or not you live like us culturally speaking. Because I mean by take a look at Europe in the Middle East. They treat their women far differently than the Arabs. And of course, if you try to mix those two cultures, try to make them exist or coexist together, it just doesn't exist. That is where racism kind of comes in. That's where it usually starts, at the cultural level.
Well, that, and I think post World War II, a lot of white folks saw, they actually fought alongside all black
Yep,
platoons, and they
specifically white
actually a lot of
Americans, because in places like Europe, they were already accepting of Africans, with exception to the Germans.
Now, I
Like,
feel like the hate crimes point that you have, though, I feel like that's more relevant to more modern adaptions of civil rights laws that have been added. Diversity, equity, and inclusion laws and rules in office workplaces and whatnot that make it that, oh, every microaggression is a hate crime all of a sudden, and kicking people out of a store, they can now call for a hate crime for that. I
yep,
don't see, like, if we read the Civil Rights Act of 1964, like, what are the provisions of that? I'm going to look it up right now. 1960. So it outlawed the discrimination of workplace. So outlawed segregated schools, libraries, swimming pools, banned segregation of businesses. So basically, businesses had to hire, they had to give everyone an equal playing field. Prohibited discrimination of employment. That's fine. Established the Equal Opportunity Employment Act. Strengthened voting rights for African Americans in the South. It was proposed originally by JFK and then was passed by Lyndon B. Johnson the following year.
yep.
But yeah, I do agree with you about the DI bullshit, basically giving rioters and looters something to use to cry about in the courts. So I do agree
Yep,
with you on
there's
that.
a reason why I now call these woke-toids progressive Marxists, because that is what they are. Progressives with a sprinkle of communism.
Well, the thing is that's crazy too about the Democrat Party is, I was actually debating a leftist a couple days ago on social media, and they had no idea anything. They were talking, a lot of these discussions. I'll enter comment sections on, like, the Daily Mail, and they were reporting on RFK Jr.'s swearing in to his office, right? And some dumbass leftist goes and says, "Oh, JFK would be so disappointed in RFK Jr. right now." And I said, "No. JFK Jr. was against the military industrial complex. He was against the CIA, and he was for making people healthy because he created the presidential fitness test, which he wanted to get mandated for all high schools in America."
Yep, and
So it is in line with RFK Jr. But I did tell them as well. I said, if JFK came back today, he would be horrified at the state of his party, because the JFK was a classical liberal. The modern Democrat Party is no longer anywhere near classical liberalism. Instead, socially, they are essentially progressive or neo-Marxist, and economically, they are either neoconservative or woke capitalist.
nah, they're pretty much socialist, and of course, such as what Synthetic Man says. Every socialist eventually becomes a communist. Like, I mean, by when you think about it, they all support the words of Karl Marx, who, by the way, despite his own Jewish heritage, he really did not like Jews. But they won't mention that at all.
Yeah.
They won't mention that. And already, I am already starting to hear the CIA agents at my door.
You better watch out, man. They're tapping in because they have the power of the cultural zeitgeist.
Yep, and the
Maybe you
internet
won't hear
because
this.
they can pretty much
You
because
won't
they
hear
can
the
pretty much check in
CIA.
on us and spy on us.
Maybe you won't hear the CIA agents at your door because now Tulsi Gabbard's their boss.
Yeah, and that means I can go pretty much crazy with the schizophrenic conspiracy theories. The Earth was hollow. Agartha is real.
Joe Mama is fat.
Yep. And that
Did
means,
something happen? Oh, I thought something happened to your mic.
yeah, I just pretty much had to think of a joke. But still, yeah. With the whole
Yeah, that
RFK thing, it's good that he's in there because it's like, huh, we really do not need vegetable or seed oils, and even then, and of course, even then, meat lard is far healthier for you than
it's
vegetable
true.
oil.
True. And what do you think about also? Let's ban Red 40.
Yes, we should ban it because I mean by we are all pretty much allergic to it. It's pretty much deadly to us at this point.
Yeah, it's very bad. It actually causes imbalances in brain chemistry, especially in children. And another thing it also causes is stomach ulcers,
Yep,
which, if untreated, can become cancerous.
yep,
So yeah, there's that as well.
yep.
Yeah, I definitely we should ban Red 40. And there's also there's a crap ton of just chemicals, and they spray on crops to genetically modify them as well.
Yep, we
And
just
a lot of
we just need them a clean cut stuff. We just need them just grow naturally without the weird GMOs.
Yeah, I will say this. I was very disappointed to see some of the votes against him because I thought RFK Jr. was actually, quite bipartisan, and he was treated like some far right wing person or something because, you know, I
That's
heard of
because
his,
when you think that's because well, just to simply put it, most people who are right wing, just like RFK anyway.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people on the right have sort of adopted RFK Jr., but it feels more like the reason they're adopting RFK Jr. is because he helped their cause. Um, but I mean, the thing is, too, is that this is a bipartisan issue on chronic disease. It sounded like Senator Cory Booker was actually agreeing with RFK Jr., at least as far as the chemicals and food and crops are concerned, and on Red 40 and whatnot, very bipartisan. And then it seemed like almost he flipped. He flipped. He stopped talking about, somebody paid him, some corporate shill paid him to stop talking about the chronic disease epidemic and the food crisis we're having. And he just shut up about it, and he just voted no. And then
Yep.
other guys as well, like the independent Angus King Jr. from Maine. I had a discussion with him, an intense discussion with him, where he basically just repeated some dog shit generic talking point that the left has been using on CNN, rather than actually applying the critical thinking that he normally has with a lot of his decisions, like what caused him to vote yes on Doug Burgum. Um, it seems like somebody's paying these people, lobbyists most likely are paying these people to vote no on these nominations.
Yep.
It's crazy. And I had a discussion with him where I pointed out where Angus King was flawed in his logic, but of course, he didn't respond
Oh yeah.
because most likely his account had sent me some auto-generated comment sent to him by created by a big pharma executive or something.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, what a shill.
Oh yeah, he is. Like, I mean, by most of the people who have claimed to be anti-woke or just against the left have sadly been proven to be shills or cucks. And I mean, by case in point, with him, he was one of the military guys, and he made those entire veterans and Halloween films. He's basically a cuck. Like he literally formed porn of his wife sleeping with other men.
The
What a
Frank.
fucking cuck! No, it's not Frank. He's like one of the men. He's like that dude who made those YouTube videos of the of what would happen if military vets were in horror movies. He's that guy.
Oh, I've seen that guy. Isn't that
Yeah,
It's not Matt Best, right?
yeah. That's Matt Best.
Okay, it is Matt Best. Yeah, I know Matt Best. Yeah, he just he kind of, I mean, he was like all, full on just kind of anti-woke guy, military vet, and he just, now it seems like I don't really watch Matt Best anymore, mostly just because it seems like he just does a lot of product placement all the time for his coffee brand.
Yeah, like I mean by with just some guy. He was well beloved by his own community, and then he went off the rails and became woke. And I mean it. He actually started to attack people who were Christian just for simply being Christian. Even though back in his older videos, you can tell that was all very tongue in cheek, but now it's just more malicious.
Yeah, it seemed like he kind of flipped on his fan base as well.
Yeah, like I mean by that's the whole that's how grifters work. They all build up a fan base based around this. They all lie saying this, and then when they get popular enough, thinking they can switch their audiences around, they just fucking backstab their audience. And in fact,
Well,
most of the people who
isn't
tend to,
isn't that what Hunter Avalon did?
yeah, that's what Hunter Avalon did.
Now, don't get me wrong. Hunter Avalon was, well, how should I put it? Very generic in his conservative content. Like, it wasn't like he was saying anything insightful. He was just another anti-woke YouTuber, and then he went from anti-woke YouTuber to socialist because he got brainwashed by Vosh,
And then, and of course,
and then after he went to
even that
enlightenment.
was an entire grift because well, how should I say this? Even because well, Xander Hall, aka Hunter Avalon, he is a big ol' anarcho-communist, which makes no fucking sense to be an entire anarcho-communist. Seriously, how can you be pro-statist and of course anti-statist at the same fucking time? How?
Yeah. And then the other thing too about Hunter Avalon that he also did is, like, now more recently he's become the quote unquote enlightened centrist, which just makes him a normie.
Yeah, it just basically makes him an entire leftist, kind of. Because I mean, by when you think about it, the whole status quo, even though Trump is in office, is still left leaning. It's still pretty left
Yeah.
leaning. So
Well,
they're basically
that's what
leftists
let's see.
without them even
There's
realizing
such
it.
an overwhelming backlash though now to anything related to Trump. Um, there's the MAGA movement has actually shifted a lot. The MAGA movement has changed. It's not the same movement that it was 4 or 8 years ago. It's not just the rednecks with red hats anymore. It's, you know, independents and hippie, old school liberals who were sick and, a lot of them followed the RFK campaign, and they were sick and tired of, you know, of the Democrat Party and their bullshit, and how every single year they do the same thing where they rig their primaries against the candidates that they want and that would actually create change, and instead they insert their establishment shill like Joe Biden into office, and they were sick and tired of it, so naturally they went independent, and then after they went independent, Donald Trump kind of took them under their wing, and now they're all supposedly Republican. Even Joe Rogan thinks it's crazy that people are calling him a Republican. Um, I mean, and now the Republicans and parties, at least a new party, they're supposed to be the party of the working class, but we'll see how long it takes before they result back to their old ways. Because I can't trust the two-party system.
Yeah.
I mean, but there is a good step. There is a good step because we got what we got a pro-union Secretary of Labor. We got RFK Tulsi Gabbard confirmed. I know there's the Pete Hegseth nomination, which I was not really a big fan of. I really wanted Douglas McGregor.
Yeah, the Douglas McGregor is basically past the whole Trump admin thing. Like, I mean, by he is now running OCOC, Our Country, Our Choice. So
yeah, kind of like he's kind of doing a similar thing where he's just kind of doing his own thing. It's kind of similar to Brett Weinstein with the Rescue the Republic thing. Now it's
yep,
called Dark Horse Podcast. It's a similar thing. They're
yeah,
kind of on the same.
It's a similar thing to how Scott Ritter has been doing, which of course I still now of course there have actually been allegations but by these pro-Ukrainians lobbied at him about him being some pedophile, and of course I've always asked them, do you have any proof? They never gave me any proof, and of course they would get mad if I called them liars for it. Mainly because when you think about it, if you don't give someone proof, then yeah, you are giving them ammunition to make them think that you're liars.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it seems like ever since the Elon Musk Donald Trump thing kind of went down, ever since we had this Doge audit, the left, the shit lib dirt sheet media has just been going insane. Like they've just been they've
Exposed,
actually been their
basically.
own conspiracy theories. Actually, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean by they all pretty much like I mean by Doge kind of confirmed some of the right conspiracy theories, and I mean by specifically from the right wing.
Yeah, I mean, what Doge did, and we said this earlier, is that they went and they used already available data from the Government Accountability Office and made it more public, basically.
Yep.
And it did confirm a lot of stuff that we already knew was going on, that the government was just recklessly printing money and signing blank checks to other nations for stupid shit. One of the big things that, a few of the big things that were stupid that Doge, I guess you'd say, uncovered, was one, the transgender opera in Colombia. Another one was a diversity, equity, and inclusion themed musical about climate change in Ireland. Another one was in Sri Lanka. They spent $50,000 on, I guess, climate friendly infrastructure over there. Is what was reported, and and then $38 million on gain of function, but we already knew about that from 10 months ago, thanks to Rand Paul.
Yep.
But yeah, USAID was funding gain of
I
function
just call it
research.
USAID.
Yeah, USAID. It's USAID, actually, is how it's supposed to be said. But I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? It's
Yeah.
it's spelt this. It's spelt the same way. USAID, USAID. Potato, tomato, tomato. If you ask me.
Yep.
Doesn't really matter. But regardless, they spent $38 million on gain of function funding, which the left for months and even now still tries to how should I put it? Have cognitive dissonance about because we were right about it. You know, you
Yep.
ever heard of how Lyme disease started?
Line piece.
Lyme disease. You ever heard of how Lyme
Lyme
disease
disease.
started?
I do not know
Mm-hmm.
what Lyme disease is. I think, oddly enough.
Well, Lyme disease is a little disease that well, it causes total body fatigue and in some cases even paralysis, and it comes from fleas and ticks. And basically, there was a little island in the Atlantic Ocean called Plum Island where they had a lab, and basically what they did is they took a tick, had it bite a rat. Then they took the tick, had it spread it to a bunny. Then they drew blood from the bunny, dried it up, ground it into a powder, and then turned it into a basically little potion and experimented with it. And lo and behold, one of the ticks got out of containment, made its way over the water to a little town called Lyme, and now almost half the world's population gets Lyme disease every year.
Yep.
So that's gain of function funding, right? That's gain of function right there, and that was happening in America. And they spent $38 million on gain of function in Wuhan. I wonder what that led to. Oh wait, for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, we've been saying it caused corona,
Yep.
the bug.
We've been
Oh, and
saying
you know
that
what else?
for years now, and yet we were labeled as the crazy conspiracy theorists.
You know what else it caused? Monkeypox. Even the NIH admits that the gain of function caused monkeypox.
Yep. Oh, but we're all
Yeah,
crazy conspiracy theorists, you see? We are all crazy
yeah.
schizos that just need to take the meds. We just need to become normal again.
Need to
That
take the
honestly
normal.
sounds kind of that honestly kind of sounds a bit small hat from them.
Take your normal pills.
No, I want to stay schizo forever.
You see, when you kind of go down these rabbit holes, it's like the Matrix. You can take the red pill and you'll never see things the same again. Or you can take the normal pill and go back to the way you used to be. And I took
I
the
think
red
that
pill.
little red pill has always been in my own brain ever since I noticed how weird it was for the Act Man to wear earrings back in like 2017. And it looks like I was right just to be suspicious of that because look at him, a leftist soy boy cuck.
What are the odds? What are the
Yeah, well, like
odds?
I mean by
I,
like I mean by here it goes. If you're some dude and you wear earrings, either A, you're gay, which is fine, or B, you're a soy boy cuck, which of course that just makes you a subhuman.
yeah, and did you hear about on Brett Weinstein's podcast, the Dark Horse podcast? I mean, I actually really enjoy his podcast. Honestly, I think Brett Weinstein's actually low key based, man. He's low key based. Um, he was talking to actually surprisingly a very well accomplished transgender helicopter pilot, and this transgender actually was speaking out against a lot of this transgenderism bullshit with Brett Weinstein. And this lady was actually a badass and was one of the few transgenders that actually somewhat looks like a female.
Doesn't surprise me.
Like
They
goes
they,
by
they,
the
they,
voice.
they always have to make themselves look like femboys.
Yeah, well, that's basically how they look. Like the main way you could tell they were trans is just because of the voice, because they still have a baritone voice.
Yep. Or in some cases,
But
just the body shape.
Yeah. So, well, I think I've seen one of these trans people in real life, and they just looked like a dude. Like they had like, you've seen those people on TikTok, like they have the beard and
Yep.
they're like balding, prematurely balding, because that happens a
Oh
lot
yeah.
in men. I've seen this one transgender in real life that dead ass looks like that. Like they have like full on like a facial hair, and they're getting all old and wrinkly, and they're balding. I mean,
Thank
let's
God
be
I have my
honest.
hands in there.
Sadly, for a lot of these, gender dysmorphic people, sadly, yeah, that's kind of what happens to your body after you go through transitioning and you get old. You kind of become this hideous monster, unfortunately.
Thank God I have my dad's hair. If you want to know why, my dad only started to experience hair loss when he was 43. And that means I will only start to experience hair loss when I am in my 40s. Thank God. And if
Well,
and if there
nice.
is anyone who is jealous in the chat, fucking deal with it.
Well, I mean, I think I have pretty decent hair genes too, because I mean, neither of my parents are balding, so I think I'm in the clear.
Yep.
But there it happens a lot with a lot of these transgenders. A lot of them prematurely bald and just kind
Yeah,
of
because I
become
mean,
hideous.
those transgenders always tend to remove their levels of testosterone and remove it with and just replace it with estrogen, which of course in men it just speeds up hair loss.
Yeah, and actually, the thing is too is in the regular human body, you actually have a even in females, you actually have a balance of your body producing testosterone and estrogen. Whereas a lot of these transgendering people, they will just take straight up estrogen and won't balance it with any testosterone, or will take
Yep,
straight up testosterone and won't balance it with any estrogen.
yep.
And sometimes that can actually be a little bit dangerous too, because I think there's actually a point where you can overdose on both of those.
Oh yeah.
Which, yeah, so another thing to be worried about. But the thing is that I've always been against too is, wrapping back up to the transgender and minors thing, is that these minors don't know, they're not really having an informed consent. They don't really know if they're
What
getting
they're
a
doing.
sort if they're surgery, what they're doing, the permanent damage they're doing to their bodies, and that's what activists like Chloe Cole and Blair
Oh
White and
yeah,
Caitlyn Jenner spoken out
like I
against
mean
is
by
transgender.
like I mean by
Yeah, go.
it's very true when they say this. Most kids don't know much things about the adult world, and it's true. Like I mean by kids know what they know, and the adult world, from what they know it, can seem pretty scary in some places, and in others it may seem cool, but it's secretly terrifying.
Yeah, it's very terrifying to see.
Broomstick Cowboy is one of the most accurate songs at depicting this. If you know, you
What's
know.
very terrifying is you look up, you see the push for transing minors. You see the federal judge blocking this thing,
And you see the put,
and
and then there's the fact that there were some people who wanted to push hard on Pornhub. If you do not know, there were some politicians wanting Pornhub to be cracked down on, because if there's one thing that most people don't realize, Pornhub does fuel child trafficking rings, which is part of the reason
oh,
why it's banned in my home state.
yeah, that doesn't surprise anybody. Um, but one of the
Like I mean by Pornhub actively refuses to remove CP on their site.
Yeah, at least in my state, hearing about that, and I wanted to just look and see, because I was curious to see if they actually removed it. In my state, they put it that on the hub, that when you go onto it, you have to check whether or not you're 18 or older, and then you can go and do it. And then if you try to look up CP, well, that would obviously, it just show up
Put you on a watch list.
error. Pay. It doesn't put you on a watch list. It just puts you on. It just gives you to a page that says error not found because it got deleted.
Yep.
Out of the web.
And yeah, and of course, many Democrats in this whole vote to the point where it wasn't even passed.
Wow, that's crazy.
Which I mean by it doesn't surprise me, especially since that this happened under Biden's presidency. And of course, let's just say this: Joseph Byron moment. Sniff, sniff on little boys.
Yeah, Joe Biden was probably on Epstein Island.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe. He loves Epstein.
I remember Marl go just asking me this: how the fuck are these groups allowed? And of course, I just said this: you really gonna ask that when our politicians were friends with people such as Jimmy Savile, Diddy, and Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah. I just think, man, I just can't wait for them to release the P. Diddy list and the Epstein client list. I hope they do it. I hope Trump does it.
To be honest, if there's one conspiracy theory that I do actually believe in, that would be the whole weird pedo cabal in the governments. Because I mean, by when you think about it, most politicians are pedophiles anyway.
Well, as we pointed out earlier in the stream, I mean, elite politicians being pedos has gone back to at least the ancient Greeks, if not before that.
Yep.
So,
and it's been proven multiple times. So yes, the entire conspiracy theory of the entire pedo cabal ruling the world is true, and that I do believe in.
Also, pizza.
Because I mean, because it's true.
Pizzagate. Pizza.
Pizzagate. Yep, pizza. Pizzagate.
Look it up. Look up Pizzagate. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It sounds like there's actually some questions also going into Anthony Fauci and his preemptive pardon, which obviously, right?
Oh yeah, like I mean,
wasn't this guy supposed?
Wasn't
he supposed to be the guy?
Shared in the server. Even pardons won't save him from being investigated, such as Jimmy Dore said.
Yeah, wasn't Fauci supposed to be the guy who was all about? He's just the science guy. He's supposed to be the Bill Nye the Science guy.
Yep, he's that one. Yep, yeah, he's that one.
I know.
He's just the science guy.
He's there
is nothing wrong about him.
Yeah, and so why does he need a pardon? Why does he need a pardon?
Yeah,
I think I know why.
Why does he need a pardon? That just seems really fucking suspicious, don't you think? But then again, it has been proven on multiple occasions that how should I say this? Fauci did fund the little lab in China. You know which one I am referring to?
Yeah, Wuhan lab. Yep. Look it up. And I mean, there was I believe it was one of the congressmen that was saying that they really wanted to do an investigation, and I saw I was watching Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore kind of laughs, and he's like, "Everything's already revealed. We already know that he downplayed the AIDS epidemic under Ronald Reagan. We already know that what he did with funding gain of function in Wuhan. What are you gonna do? Watch old Jimmy Dore clips, or maybe I don't know. Let me see over here. Just read RFK.
Yeah, there's like some big old theory that the 15 U.S. labs in Ukraine kind of served as some weird supply chain between the U.S. labs here and the ones in Wuhan.
Well, actually, did you hear what
That's
they
the
were,
theory about
what they were doing in
that.
labs in Ukraine? Was they were
That's
doing
the
unethical treatments on dogs and cats in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, and apparently there's some weird theory that there was some bioweapon being made in there just to be released onto the Russians. But of course that's a whole conspiracy theory that's been said. But it's like, you know what? It wouldn't really surprise me, especially since that Wuhan happened.
I mean, they've been doing gain of function for decades, apparently. So it wouldn't be surprising if they are, if they're already advanced enough to do that.
But we all have to blame the Chinese just for making bioweapons for years now. Even though, yeah, yes, I don't like China, but I mean by really, who has been the one developing biological weapons of war? When you think about it, us.
Us, yeah, us, and then and then China, and then Russia and Ukraine,
Yep.
and then what
We should really call these kinds of live streams the schizo zone.
the schizo zone. I should call it the schizo zone. Like, because we're just gonna dive into
Yep.
conspiracy theories and just dive face first into them, like head first into all sorts of crazy shit. I mean, and then you got North Korea, who's also working on bioweapons.
Oh yeah, even they're working on bioweapons as well.
I mean,
And I did also find something
build
interesting.
bones.
There was this guy who I used to watch, though I don't watch him anymore because I can't find his channel. But he made a video on how the Viet Cong destroyed the Americans in the Vietnam War. But apparently, there have been death squads trained in U.S. CIA trained death squads in places such as Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Colombia, and of course, even Brazil, I think. And I'm wondering, why the fuck do we have some in places such as Kazakhstan and Mongolia? Why those places?
Kazakhstan, very nice.
Yeah, Kazakhstan. And it's like, huh, that's very interesting. Two countries that that border two of the countries that we don't like, Russia and China. Seems very little interesting.
Well, why wouldn't the CIA want to do that? America has been always aggressive against both Russia and China, and they
Oh yeah, we've always been aggressive towards them, and then we under why they retaliate. Gee, as if we were pushing NATO right up to their borders.
yeah, and then you can look into the whole Minsk Accords thing. Do you think they're going to just bring back Minsk too, or do you think they will find a new deal? By the way,
They will probably put in a new deal because I mean by it's very well known that Russia wants Eastern Ukraine because of what has been happening in Donbass, and I mean by Eastern Ukraine back in the 1500s was also once known as Noyo Russia, which means New Russia in Russian.
well, it seems like it's been for months they've been talking about on even in the mainstream media about how important the Donbass region is for the war and how you know and how this war won't end until Ukraine claims the Donbass region or whatever. And I'm just been like,
And try to claim borders beyond their borders, such as Kursk.
yeah, but I'm just been like why
Oh,
then why
oh, and also, but by the way,
have to encourage
oh, and also, by the way,
the
people won't tell you this, but there was a little massacre in World War II called the entire Volhynian Massacre that the entire OUN-B committed on Poles. The OUN-B were so savage that the Waffen SS soldiers that came with them made sure to save the last few Jews and Poles who lived in the area, if you were so savage enough that the people who started the war out of pure hatred of the Poles and Jews try to save them from you, then you know how pretty nasty you are.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean,
Like, I mean by there's like an entire recorded account of Stepan Bandera hacking a boy's head with an axe.
oh boy, that's bloody.
And yet, the entire current regime of Ukraine builds statues of him, which is pretty fucking sick and twisted when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, nations are just. There's just so many fucking war crimes going on right now. Everyone's just in war crime mode right now.
The Serbs are now jealous. They want to join in, but they can't. The Serbs want to join in, but they fucking can't. Come on. They are the war criminals. Let them have their fun.
Yeah, the everyone is just committing war crimes on each other. And it just, oh man, I just don't. It seems like, Trump wants it to stop to some extent. One of the things that Trump does, though, he says he said on one hand that he wants to, stop all the deaths, stop all the wars. And the next thing he knows, he's deploying troops over to Somalia, and he's talking about turning Gaza into a parking lot. And he's kind of just seems like a lot of sit and wait is going on in Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, like I mean by with the whole Ukraine thing, it does kind of make sense, especially since that when you think about it, every single time Russia asked for peace, it was constantly rejected, and now at this point, the Russians are now just kind of beyond the point of wanting peace. Like I mean by take a look of what I just told you about Lugansk. Take a look at what happened in Kursk. They're now pushing the Ukrainians back out of that area, and they're also planning on taking Donetsk as well. Like, the Russians are just kind of beyond the point of wanting peace at the moment.
Yeah,
because they constantly wanted that for 2 years now, and they were rejected.
Yeah, it seems like the Russians, now that they're actually starting to gain some ground. I mean, of course they don't want it to stop. I said this before. Putin, he doesn't really care if the war goes on or not. He's happy to peace talks with Donald Trump and whatever, but he really kind of cares. Like, now that he's getting ground, he's really like, no, I want to kind of go for the kill. I want to at least try to get something out of this.
Yeah, like I mean by it does make sense, especially since that the Ukrainians in the West were constantly giving Russia the finger. Either it's the whole Nord Stream pipeline, kicking them out of Kharkov, sanctioning them. So it's like so it's perhaps one big old middle finger to Ukraine, particularly Zelensky, I think. But perhaps Putin wants to give that big old middle finger to him.
And well, they could have had peace 2 years ago with the Minsk II Accords, but what did Joe Biden do? He sends his bureaucrats and Boris Johnson over to break it up.
Yep. And what did France and Germany do before that? They sent weapons to groups such as the Azov Battalion.
The neo-Nazi battalion.
Same as Reichssektor and C-14, both of which are also Nazi groups that are also funded by the Ukrainian regime. One of which, that being C-14, burned down Gypsy Roma villages back in 2019. The more you know.
The more you know. Yeah, I mean, this has just been a crazy time. So hopefully everyone's doing okay at home. I know there's a lot of, to say the least, right now we're living in a time of political instability. A lot of changes going on. And it seems like Donald Trump, for some reason, wants to focus all his attention on the culture war almost. Well,
I mean by it does make sense. Best to hear a culture along with its problems. Because can you really cure the problems, the political problems, if the culture is also tainted as well?
I mean, what you could focus on is focus on more on the economy and focus on the foreign aspect of it, but that's not what Donald Trump's really doing right now. He's more so focusing on the culture. He's doing a pretty decent job, I think. The border stuff is going on. A lot of the SJWs are crying about, oh, they're deporting illegals, and I've seen some cases that ICE has not been cracking down on the people who actually need to be deported and has actually gotten deportations wrong. Um, so there's that aspect to it as well. But I mean, if you're here illegally, you're still here illegally, and illegal immigrants, every nation deports illegal immigrants. They need to be deported. Um,
Yep. It don't matter
like,
what
I would
race
like,
they are,
I would like to,
either Polish, Mexican, or even Chinese. If they are illegal, kick them out.
but I would say this. I would like to see ICE crack down more on like MS-13 and Trende Aragua rather than the old granny who's just tending a field in bumfuck middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
Yeah, but I mean there are like so many illegal immigrants in this country. By back in 2017, it's been like what counted to be like 22 million. How many illegal immigrants do we have now? 30 million.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least 15 million came across during the Biden administration.
So that puts us on to 37 million.
Yes, about 37 million illegal immigrants in the nation.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Many of them are here because of expired visas, actually.
Yep.
And they just don't bother to
Yep.
get the visas changed because, well, I mean, if you go back and say, "Oh, my visa expired," well, they're just going to send you over the border, especially now.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's a tricky situation all around. But you're here illegally. Sorry, that's the policy. That's the president's policy. You got to go.
Yep.
Now, I would like to see if a lot of these jobs that are going to open up, for missing illegal immigrants. I'd like some sort. I've proposed this before. I'd like some sort of program where we can get like homeless veterans and stuff into the agriculture industry. That'd be good. I don't know if Trump's going to do that or not.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much other news to talk about. I know. Oh yeah, one more thing. Trump did rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. You could look it up on Google Maps now.
Oh yeah. Many leftists have been losing that shit, and of course, many leftists bring up this. The entire Gulf of America had the whole Gulf of Mexico name for 145 years, and some Arab dude said this. Really? What about the biological sexes names, which have been around for thousands of years?
Yeah.
That entire Arab Muslim was just based just by trolling them with those.
And then Soy Joe.
Like I mean, by they really
Oh, that's
use it.
different. Soy Joe Jack goes.
Yep.
Oh, that's different.
Yep. That's different. No, it's not.
The reason that Donald Trump, so you guys know, the reason that Donald Trump has renamed it to the Gulf of America is over oil. Because here's the smart big brain move. You see, Joe Biden said you can't drill oil in the Gulf of Mexico. He didn't say that you can't drill oil in the Gulf of America.
And even then, Mexico is pretty unstable right now. So who else is going to take the oil?
Well, obviously, it's going to be America, the one superpower in the region.
Oh yeah, and also I just have to say this: we might have to armor up border a bit more, because there have been reports in the last 2 years since like 2023 that the Mexican cartels have been getting some armored cars in the last few years, and of course even kamikaze drones.
Oh wow. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna
Yep.
tap. I feel like they're gonna tap out pretty quickly, especially since the National Guard has been sent down there already. Again, like last time during the Trump administration, the National Guard was helping out border security and ICE. So, Coast Guard's also going to be cracking down as well. I think that
Yeah, and then there's
especially if you get the Mexican government,
and then there's the fact that
you could work it out.
Yeah, then there's the fact that the Mexican government is also kind of close allies to other nations as well. And I mean, it's actually kind of surprising just to learn that Mexico is the only country in the Americas that is like pretty much buddy with Russia. It's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I don't know if you want to do any closing remarks before we go.
I don't know. All I know is that I was in some VC with my MGTOW outlaw and Riggs, and I pretty much made him feel like 1,000 years old, because he was born back in 1989, and I was born in 2007, and I made him feel old.
That's funny.
And I welcome him just for thanking me, just for making him feel old.
Also, go check out Rexus Prime's new channel. It's called Rexus Prime.
Oh, and also,
and
and also, just to let you guys know, I have tasted some of my chocolate people in Africa. They do not taste like chocolate. The people who told me that, they lied to me. They lied to me, and now I have charges of cannibalism sent against me.
Oh gosh, now we're turning this really into its own live stream. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Check out Rexus Prime's channel. On here, it should be called at Mr. Kolovrat, but for some reason YouTube is an idiot and won't let you mention him. So just type in Rexus Prime in your search bar, and he should be the first search that comes up. But yeah.
Oh yeah, like you can also type out at Mr. Kolovrat on the YouTube search bar as well, and I'll also appear. But yeah, again, it's just YouTube not liking me, because I mean, by even YouTube is also not allowing me to ping Chaos for You in his videos whenever I do the whole stream highlights where he just goes complete fucking schizo and funny. But yeah, YouTube does that because they really don't fucking like me. But it is nothing in comparison to like JR, and they have banned him 4 fucking times. And his last account, that account lasted for like 4 days before it was deleted by YouTube. 4 fucking days. Just 4 days. And they banned it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
They really fucking hate JR's gut.
Well, YouTube, they don't really like me either, as you could tell. But
yeah, they pretty much shadow banned you. It took you 1,000 years to finally reach 200 subs.
Yeah, and now I've been stuck at 213 subs for some reason. Even though
with me, I've been stuck at like 200, and with me, I've been stuck at like 27 to 28 subscribers until pretty recently, when I made a video on Emperor Frenzy and explained why I really don't like him. He claimed to be the furry version of MLK, and of course I made a joke saying this. So you claim to be a furry version of a gigolo who was physically abusive to women. Alrighty then.
A gigolo. Damn.
Yep, a man whore. That is what it means.
I thought when you said gigolo, I thought you were talking about Jungalo, the fucking insane clown posse movement.
But really, no, it just means man whore.
Oh. But you've heard of Insane Clown Posse, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, you'd love their music. Check them out. You might actually become a jungalo if you watch Insane Clown Posse. You'd like their music.
But yeah, but pretty much I just reached up to like 30 subscribers when I made that video on Emperor Frenzy, and that's pretty much all it.
Hey, that's good. At least you got some. At least you got some followers.
Yeah, but it does kind of annoy me because here's the thing: Emperor Frenzy is a furry, and I really don't like him because he's a democratic socialist who's basically left leaning.
So he's
And yet, well, one of the things that was able to get me to grow was me talking about furries. Like, I mean it. Literally whining and yapping about furries is what can make me grow on YouTube. God fucking damn it!
That's literally what makes my channel grow too, unfortunately, is like every time my best videos are usually where I talk about furry drama. So that's probably what my next video will actually be. But yeah, check out.
And I should probably make a video.
They have a good song called
Yeah, and I think
Catch a Predator. It's about the Chris Hansen guy. So yeah, you'll like it. You'll like it. I think you'll enjoy the music.
yeah, and I will probably make a video on like Backboy who's like some furry lol cow, and I mean by he is such a fucking lol cow. Like, I mean by it was so easy to find out that he's Italian.
I actually got some cheap views pretty recently by actually if you haven't seen it already, I got some cheap views going after someone who's been basically an internet lolcow for a long time. I made a video about Kent Hovind. I don't know if you ever heard of Kent Hovind, but yeah, I basically made a video
Never heard of him.
destroying him. Basically, Kent Hovind, he's a you know what young Earth creationism is?
I know what it is, and it's absolutely stupid.
Yeah, he basically thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old and was made in literally 6 days, like the Bible says so. And then, yeah, he basically uses mental gymnastics to try to, and he calls himself a
Prove that we existed alongside dinosaurs.
yeah.
You want to know something far more interesting? Take a look at Canadian folk tales, and I mean by Arctic Canadian folk tales, and there are some weird stories of the dinosaurs still existing in the Arctic north of Canada, and these are weird cryptid stories.
Oh wow!
And I think you would find those interesting.
I took a look at them.
Yeah, like look up Hammerson Peters. He made a video on it.
Interesting. I just think that's interesting because during the Ice Age, there wasn't a very good time for reptiles.
Dinosaurs usually lived in warm areas. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that way. Because the whole cryptid tales surrounding those kinds of dinosaurs usually describe them to be covered in a lot of feathers, including the T-Rexes in those said stories.
Well, yeah, I actually am under the guys and scientific consensus that yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rex and majority of the dinosaurs that we know from our comic books as kids, they weren't really reptilians. They were actually birds. Believe it or not.
Yep.
Or
and those said dinosaurs in these tales
between a reptilian and a bird.
Yep, and these said dinosaurs in these cryptid stories, they are said to have feathers to endure the cold, which kind of makes sense because it is the Arctic north of Canada.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the natives, about 30,000 years ago maybe, ran into the last dying species of prehistoric dinosaurs. I mean, the thing is too,
these entire cryptid tales that they all come from the 1870s from a bunch of Canadian hunters. That's the one kind of problem though. So they might be fake hoaxes, or they might be a result of someone's wild imagination, or they're just faked, or they're just fake stories made by someone from the 20th century.
Or
like the late 20th century. Who knows?
Or it could be
It's still interesting.
or it could be a rumor / hoax that was spread around by a hunter that went literally insane, living out for days in the Arctic tundra.
Yep.
Which also wouldn't be surprising. But yeah, I mean, the Earth is older than 6,000 years. I shat all over Kent Hovind for it. And one of the things that I found that was interesting is, you know, that that recent discovery of the frozen mammoth in Russia?
Yeah.
It was found in permafrost layers that dated back to around 30,000 years old. So, yeah, the Earth can't be 6,000 years old.
Yeah, like I mean by that is old. Like I mean by like most people don't know this, but these people like to say that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Okay, then explain to me why we're like how should I say this? Vatita, you know which symbol I'm referring to? Why were Vatitas carved onto mammoth ivory found in Ukraine from like 11,000 BC? Found.
Or,
That's right. The Vatita is far older than the Indus Valley. It pretty much dates all the way back to the ancient North Eurasians, who are the ancient ancestors to the Native Americans, current day Europeans, and the current day Semites / Arabs.
very interesting. Or, here's another one. If the Earth is 6,000 years old, explain to me how the Ute Indians trace their ancestry in just the Colorado area alone to at least 8,000 years old, at most 14,000 years.
Then there's the fact of this. Okay, then tell me, why did the Hadean, the entire Hadean period of the Earth date all the way back to about 1,000 billion years ago? Tell me that.
Or just explain how we have so many fossils from the Ice Age, which was at least 10,000 years old. It was 30,000 to.
Then there's the fossils of the entire. Then there's the whole fossils of the whole Cambrian period, which was like well over 400 million years ago.
Yeah, I feel like just what I like to use for young Earth creationism, I would like to get them to expand their minds to at least saying that the Ice Age happened, because you start with baby steps. You tell them that there's things that are just a few thousand years older than that. Then you bring on the millions of years old things, because then you kind of get them to just, you know, it damages the credibility of what their worldview they thought was. It slowly damages it, and then they slowly start accepting reality. So I'll explain Ute Indians from 8,000 Ute Indian tribal grounds from 8,000 years old, and then explain the Ice Age that was 10,000 years old. Explain the Hawaiian island chain, which took at least
explain the Yamnaya. Explain the Yamnaya, who were the Indo-Europeans from 9,000 years ago.
Yeah, explain that. You know, you get them to explain. You say, okay, explain these. Most of the times, they never even heard of this stuff, honestly. And then you get that.
Like I mean by the whole entire Yamnaya, they are they're still pretty known, but they are still pretty much an entire forgotten civilization.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they gave way to the modern day Europeans, specifically due to the fact that they were called the Kurgan people because to simply put it, burial mounds were very exclusive to Europe, and they started that whole tradition.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that's all we have to say, because we just pretty much stretched this stream out long with this crazy young Earth creationist stuff.
Yeah, it's a long one, but we had to get out of the way. So thank you guys for showing up and enjoying the stream. Again,
Yep.
subscribe to Rexus Prime on YouTube. Subscribe to the Nomadic Cole YouTube channel as well for more live streams and other fun, epic, cool, awesome content just like this one. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. Have a good day, guys.
Yep, you guys have a good night.
All right, we'll be closing the stream now.
Yep.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let's get back here. All right, guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching, sharing, and enjoying. Sorry, guys, it is a long stream, but yeah, thanks for watching. We'll be closing the stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, bye.